interrupt this program to bring you a special report.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 67 of Not a Robot Podcast's DC Comics Review Show. As always, I've got my amazing co-host here with me. Rob, introduce yourself.
Hello, comics fans. How you doing? We're in for another special episode today, and I hope you're excited.
Oh my god. You're so excited you cut me off for a second. No, good to have you. And Josh, how you doing?
Not too bad. Hey there, humans.
Today on the show, we will be covering Wonder Woman 781, Action Comics 1036, I Am Batman number 3, Black Manta number 3, Justice League Last Ride number 7, the final issue, Robin and Batman number 1, Joker number 9, Robin's number 2, and Titans United number 3. And of course, make sure you stick around until the end of each episode to hear our top 3 books of the week, the biggest stinker, and to find out which titles might just make the dump list. But before we get going with the show, I just want to say thank you to all of our Patreon supporters who help out with $1 or more a month, and thank you listeners too. Like, download, and share our episodes so we get more listeners and can bring you more content. You can get access to our Patreon and the rest of the Not a Robot Podcast shows at notarobotpodcasts.com. But with that out of the way, let's get into some news. Guys, what's going on with you this week?
It's been bugging me all day. I've got this really long eyebrow hair. I know this is weird.
Gross.
And I don't know. I wasn't there yesterday, but all day it's been in my vision in my left eye. And on the way home, I realized it feels like I have hair again. It's kind of nice. But it's really fucking annoying. And I don't know why it's there, how, or like when it showed up. It's just there this morning. I don't know.
Cut it.
I need to. I haven't had a chance today, but fuck. So
that's
weird.
what I would do. Not much is going on with me. Not personal, anyways. Got some doctor stuff going on, but we're here for a good time. We ain't gonna get into all that. Mm-hmm. There was a bunch of news that I saw, though. Like a bunch. A lot of it about about TV shows, but there was a lot of comic news that I saw out there today. Or over the past few days, anyway. Mm-hmm. Before we get into anything, though, let me make a very quick flip over to Marvel. I just saw yesterday the variant cover for Devil's Reign, the Daredevil crossover. And holy shit, Marvel finally gave Spider-Woman a decent costume.
Oh, what is this?
I am shocked.
I haven't seen this cover, so...
It's a variant cover for Devil's Reign.
Uh-huh.
And it's got a pretty wicked looking Spider-Woman costume on there, as opposed to the things that she's had before, where it's basically just a Lycra suit.
Let me see what Google has to say.
I'm looking for this now.
Oh yeah, very Punisher inspired costume.
Yeah, that's kind of the feeling that I was getting too.
It's a little intense.
I thought it kind of looked cool.
That's a little intense. It feels like something very 90s inspired. That's a lot of pouches.
Oh wow.
It does feel kind of 90s inspired. I'll give you that. Well,
expired,
that might be interchangeable with the 90s.
Exactly. I was gonna say.
But one of the big, huge things that surrounds Spider-Woman, and it's been going on for at least 10 years, is the fact that almost no one can draw her without drawing her excessively suggestively.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be kind of difficult to do that now.
Oh no, I think trust me, you give someone the task and they will do it. What's the old saying? Where there's a will, there's a way.
Right, and there's wills everywhere.
Yeah, and in this case, I think as long as you can just conceive of it, it will be there.
I suppose Rule 34. Right?
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I didn't have anything else to say.
All right. Well, there was a couple of other things outside of the TV universe that I wanted to touch on. First, I'm hearing a bit of an echo, guys. But first, I want to talk about Bob Wycheck. At least I think that's how you say his last name. It's how I've always pronounced it. Yes.
Like on X-Men?
Yeah. He's been a longtime artist for both DC and Marvel. And unfortunately, I found out he had to start a GoFundMe page.
Oh, what
and
a
that's
shame.
not it's not for a creation of a book. That's Kickstarter. GoFundMe is, for help. And the man has developed glaucoma. He can't afford his medical bills. He can't afford his taxes. And he can't work if he can't see. And I think all of us know how great comic creators' health insurance is. So, I mean, anybody out there listening, if you've got $1 or a few bucks or anything to spare, help them out. It's called the Bob Wycheck Glaucoma Relief Fund, and I'm sure a quick Google will take you there. Hate to see good talent have that happen to them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, see, my news was also like kind of a fundraiser, but it is not for that serious. Now I feel like a fucking asshole because mine is like very silly. It's for there was a series that was announced last. Well, it's not really a series. It's a project that was announced last year from Matt Kint, Jeff Lemire, and David Rubin, who are all incredibly talented, called Cosmic Detective. That was basically like a very Kirby-inspired detective noir story set in a Kirby landscape. And the Kickstarter expired, and a lot of people, myself included, were kind of like, oh, shit, like I wish I'd gotten the chance to donate to it because it just looks super cool. And they already have the digital file completed. They're sending it out now, and I didn't get a chance to add to it, but they have opened up a new, I guess like a new version on BackerKit, which is a site I'd never heard of in my life, but apparently they opened it up.
Either.
Yeah, apparently they opened it up again, and for a measly $10, you can get a digital file, I believe by the end of this week, of the entire 192-page graphic novel. So I was super excited about that.
Shut up for $10.
Yeah, I was like, oh yes, finally, because I'd been wanting to read.
Oh hell yeah!
I wanted to read this for like a year, but it was closed and it seemed like they weren't going to reissue it. But I think fans were like really excited, so they opened it up again. But I would say if you have money, definitely give it to the Bob Wycheck Fund. That's a lot more important than this comic. But I just heard that. I was like, oh shit, now I don't want to mention this. I don't want to mention the fucking
All right.
fundraiser.
New rule: make Josh go last.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's try and spin it over to a couple of other things. And I have donated to Bob Wycheck, and I will. Where is that located at? The Kickstarter you mentioned? Kickstarter.
I can send you the link in our Slack, but it is, if you go to David Rubin's Instagram page, he has like a post about it, but you can go to a site called BackerKit. The link is in his bio, and it basically
BackerKit.
Yeah, it'll give you two options. You can get the $10 digital version or the other physical version, because I don't know. They're saying that they're sending out physical copies and they're not going to re-release them. I call BS on that.
That would be something,
yeah,
man.
well,
Holy
it's
cow.
just like they always say that in like these campaigns, and then a year or two later they're like, oh, Dark Horse is putting out their own version, and you're like, why am I not surprised?
Yeah,
because I remember James Tynan was saying the same thing about Razor Blades. And then I saw on Instagram like the other day. I was just like, well, it's a good thing I got the digital copies when I did, because they're probably not going to reissue them. And then the other day on Instagram, I see Image Comics reprinting the entire 5 issues of Razor Blades in print next year. And I'm like, of fucking course.
Yeah.
Not
right?
surprised.
Yep, of course.
Any way you can, any way you can reissue it and make some money. Like, and I mean, I don't want it to make it sound like they're only concerned about money. They probably know that like a lot of this content's really good and people just want to have access to it. But anyway, I'll stop talking about that. I'd say the Bob Wycheck thing more important. But if you are interested in a really cool project from Matt Kint, Jeff Lemire, and David Rubin, I'd definitely say check it out.
And how could you not be interested?
Yeah, it's
especially
cool.
in a Kirby landscape. That sounds really cool, man.
I mean, you can look it up right now, or I can send you some of the pictures. But like the layouts that David Rubin has put, like there's just so much love and care put into it, and he's such a fan of like that whole Kirby aesthetic with the big blocky figures and crazy sci-fi landscapes, and it's definitely just like a passion project. Like this is not some slapdash thing. So it's definitely really cool. Okay, I'm gonna make one more announcement. I'm gonna shut up because I do this every time, and I said I was gonna stop, but you had to know that I was lying because all I do is lie.
Uh-huh.
I said I was gonna stop trying to sound like I was a freaking advertiser for Comixology, but I can't help myself because it seems like every time I'm like, okay, this is the last time. There's something new, but I already mentioned the all-nighter, and I think I already mentioned the best jacket stuff. But for anyone who's been following it, We Have Demons #2 came out this week, which means if you've been following the schedule, you know that next week and the following week, I'm probably going to be back pimping out the other 2 books that are coming out this week. So you'll never get the end of it. But yeah, We Have Demons #2 is out from Scott Snyder, Greg Capullo, Jonathan Glapian, FCO Placencia, like that whole team, basically the Court of Owls team coming together and doing their very Spawn-inspired, almost like BPRD style thing. And it's a lot of fun. It's like an oversized issue, so it's like 38 pages. But it's just a lot of craziness and a lot of fun. And I would definitely recommend checking it out if you want to buy a copy for yourself, or if you have Amazon Prime or Comixology Unlimited, or either one, you can get the copies for free. And I would definitely check it out. And of course, again, this is why I sound like I'm a hack or something, like I'm shilling for them, but I'm not, I promise. But
But we would be more than happy to have Comixology as a sponsor.
I totally would, but like I feel like such a shill doing that every time, and I hate myself for it. But no, they just have a lot of really good stuff, and I'm always gonna be like, I don't know, giving them that credit. So again, even if you don't want to read all of the best jacket books from Snyder and company, there's of course Snow Angels from Jeff Lemire and Jock, which is incredible. There's
anything with Jock's art in it is going to be incredible.
This is like, again, it's a perfect fit for Jock. It's like this, snowy trench setting. It's great. It's basically like snow themed horror, if you will. Which is super cool. And then
which is in the winter time.
Yeah, exactly. Like we're getting close to winter. It's perfect. You can make yourself scared to go outside if it's snowing where you are.
I mean, Snyder's just been pumping the stuff out. I've been reading Clear. I've been reading We Have Demons.
Clear. I think is Clear or Night of the Ghoul. I think are probably my favorites. Like We Have Demons is a lot of fun, but Clear, I read that and I was like, oh, this is it. This is what I need.
I haven't read Night of the Ghoul yet.
Oh yeah, Night of the Ghoul.
But there's so many Snyder projects, man. Canary, Book of Evil. Have you heard about this Dudley Dotson shit? I'm just looking at the
those because I guess it's like, and this is why I'm blown away by how much they actually have or will have, because I mean you have to know that most of these projects were in the can for at least a couple years. I know for a fact that Night of the Ghoul had been basically in the works since I think 2019, because I remember he'd been teasing it for like a long ass time before I left Twitter. So all this stuff is like been in the works, and now it's coming out all at once. But yeah, no, we are
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, exactly. We are kind of like in phase 1. I said I was going to stop talking about it, but again, you should have known that I was lying. But no, we're in phase 1, and then I guess around spring of next year will be phase 2 when, like you mentioned, Canary, Dudley Datsun, Duck and Cover, and
Barnstormers?
Yes, Barnstormers with Tula Lote. That was the one I was thinking of. All of those will be coming out next year in spring. And like all of those look so great, especially Canary, which is like Dan Panosian on a Western book, which is like a genius fucking idea. Can't believe he's never done that before. So yeah,
I'm really eager to see what it looks like.
Yeah, well, if you go to Amazon and you look up, they put out like a best jacket press kit that you can get for free, and it'll give you like a 2, I think, or 3-page preview. Excuse me, of Canary.
Can anybody guess what I'm doing right after the podcast?
Yeah, no, I came out like last week, I think, or 2 weeks ago, and I saw that. I was like, all right. I want to see if we get any previews, and I read it, and I was like, yes, I cannot wait. Like, it's, whew. But no, I mean, there's just it's exactly like you said. There's just so many really good books from Snyder and all of these artists that are just so amazing. And my hope is that when they come to print next year at Dark Horse, they're going to really take advantage of some of the new formats and try and do some new things. Especially, I think, with Clear, because Clear, I think, is a book that. It's going to look one way digitally, but it's definitely going to look another way in print, which I think is going to be really cool because you can kind of adjust it in certain ways. And selfishly, I want them to put it in the like the black label format where you can just blow it up on these giant books. And I'm like, oh, I would just love to have that, so I could just look at it forever. But yeah, okay, I'm done there. Basically, all you need to know, there's some really good originals coming out from Comixology. I already mentioned the All Nighter. That's a new one, and I want to say there's one called Astonishing Times or Astonishing Tales from Frank Barbiere, and of course our beloved fellow comic YouTuber Eris Quinones from Variant Comics. So yeah, definitely check them out. Okay, I'll stop shilling now. I promise, but I won't. I'll be back next week
with more Comixology hustling.
Yes, with more hustle.
Hustling.
If I was getting paid for this, I would tell you. I swear, but I'm not. I just really like it.
It's just there's a lot of good stuff out there, and that's our job, is to let you know what is good.
Yeah, well, I don't know. It can be almost overwhelming sometimes, where it's just there's so many like amazing and fantastic comics to read, you don't even really know where to start. So this is just one place we're kind of giving you that you can find some really cool stuff.
Agreed. So I got two other pieces of comic news, and then I'm almost positive Rob knows at least some of this TV stuff that I found. But and I don't know that if this was something that you guys have already known, but apparently JLD, after Rom V gets done with it, they will be coming back to be in the Flash book.
Oh, really? Is it a backup or just like a cameo?
That has not been specified yet, but if it's saying it's coming back to be in the Flash book, I couldn't see how they would make JLD work as a backup.
Yeah, tonally
in
that doesn't
Flash.
work at all. Like,
yeah, so JLD, it has to be in issue. That's the only thing that I can think.
Yeah, that's probably like a cameo, because I know they are on like one of the covers of an upcoming issue, but if they put it as a backup, that would just be weird. I wouldn't mind, but tonally it's like night and day, you know.
Agreed. And I don't know if you guys have seen the previews, but Batman 118 looks fantastic. We got a new villain called Abyss.
Oh, yes.
And
the pencils from Jorge Molina.
Yes.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God.
So amazing.
And I totally get the feeling that Tynan had absolutely nothing to do with the naming of this new villain, Abyss, or else it would have been called Deep Dark Place Person.
Okay. I don't know if any of you guys watch One Punch Man, but the first thing I thought of when I saw this design was like, oh my God, this is literally the most anime design character for a villain I've ever seen. Like, literally has the double-ended scythe and like the cloak and the mask, and he looks like because I've started reading One Punch Man recently, the manga, and one of the characters is called Speed of Sound Sonic, and he literally looks exactly like that, but without the mask. And I was like, oh my God. I kind of love it, but I was just like, it is. I mean, it's not blatant plagiarism, but it is just like so close to like that kind of anime design that I kind of love it.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
And then, last but not least, not that Marvel and DC really has to worry about it, but Diamond Distributors has made the news again.
Oh,
yeah.
Their website has been down, and that's because they got hit with a ransomware attack. Their processing and ordering is screwed up right now. So my heart goes out to anybody that is waiting on issues from them, because that's gotta suck. People need to stop doing that shit, man.
Yeah.
That's it for comic news, though. I saw an ad for TV's Flash Armageddon.
Oh, yes.
Wow, they're really pulling out all the stops for that one, aren't they? They're bringing back people from shows that have been canceled.
Mm-hmm. They will do whatever it takes to say, hey, look, we're still relevant.
I guess so.
Yeah. Batman, Mia Smoke, who is supposed to be the new Green Arrow, that was a spin-off of Arrow that was so bad it didn't get picked up.
Which is so unceremoniously canceled. It wasn't that bad.
I never even watched the pilot.
Yeah.
I don't even know if one was actually released. I didn't know.
It was kind of a backdoor. It was tied into the last season of Arrow.
Oh, I mean, I did see that part,
Okay,
but
yeah.
they had a pilot that went to the networks and did not do very well.
Yeah.
But, Black Lightning, Ray Palmer, the Atom, plus Ryan Choi,
Yes. Which
the Sentinel, Reverse Flash, and Despero.
do you want a spoiler for Ryan Choi?
I mean, I don't care. I'm probably not going to watch it,
Okay,
but other
fair
people
enough.
out there would.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Jump ahead of 30 seconds. There are images of Ryan Choi in an Atom suit, and it's very comics accurate.
Ooh, cool.
It's about damn time.
Right?
No offense to Brandon Ruth. I think he did fantastic in Superman Returns, but his part as part of the CW/DC universe has just been comical.
Oh, yeah, for
And
sure.
again, nothing against his acting or anything, but just the role he was put in and the Ray Palmer that we got from the CW was just despicable.
Two completely different ones, too, between Legends and Arrow.
Yeah, exactly. What else? Oh, the second season of Superman and Lois is releasing January 11th. Yeah. And so is Naomi, which is going to follow it right afterwards. So I'll end up watching that. But that means Flash bumps to Wednesdays, and bumping happened to Arrow too. So maybe Flash just might be on its way out soon.
There's been rumblings about that for a while. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is the last one.
All right. So I've got a question for both of you. Before I ask, Rob, do you got anything to bring up?
No, I was just kind of tricked out by my own mind and nostalgia for 90s fan base and comics. From a headline that I only saw half a word, and I don't even think I want to bring it up. It's so gross.
Now you have to.
Yeah, I kind of do. Nah, just Google a headline popped up on my phone, but stopped halfway, and it said, James Gunn clarifies Star-Lord's cell. Star-Lord's cell, CEL, and then it cut off. And the first thing that popped in my head, my 90s comic geek came out, and I was like, the Star-Lord's celibacy, yeah. Like, yeah, is he really a virgin if he's only slept with aliens? Like, yeah, because that's totally, I watched way too much of Mallrats.
Ugh.
Yes, you did.
So,
yeah, it was actually talking about his celestial status, but that I channeled my inner Brody.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Sweet. His inner Brody. I love it. All right, so I want to know what you guys think. And you probably will be able to pick up exactly where it is that I'm going with, but HBO Max made a killing off of Snyder's release of Justice League, right? They, just for that movie, they had something like an additional 15 million downloads of the app itself. So they made a shit ton of money off of it. There's another movie that's out there that got a lot of shit, and there were all kinds of rumors about studio interference while it was in production. It definitely got the WB screw your story treatment. There was recently a script leak on Twitter, and it was cool and confirmed. The script is a whole lot darker, and it has a whole lot more Joker and a romance between Harley and Deadshot. There's been a few pictures showing stuff too. But what do you guys think about the Ayer cut of Suicide Squad?
I think it's never going to happen. We were lucky enough to get the Snyder cut. I'm interested in the Ayer cut. I've seen so many movies in the past that have been dubbed horrible or bad or just not the greatest, and then director's cuts have come out and it's been so much better. So I'm definitely interested in the idea of the Ayer cut releasing, despite the fact that I think it's never going to happen.
Yeah, I'm tired of hearing about people who have been hired to do a movie that they proposed, the studio accepted, and then after everything is starting to roll, they're like, well, no, we don't like that. No, we don't like that. You got to keep it to 120 minutes. Okay. That kind of shit. We're talking the Donner cut, a Blade Runner, the final cut, all of those every single director's cut I can think of right now has resulted sometimes in a slightly different film, but every time a better one.
Yep.
And, you know, I mean, when I watched Suicide Squad, when I was getting into Suicide Squad, not Guns, the Suicide Squad, but the first one, I was watching it the whole time, and it felt kind of disconnected, and I sat there watching it the whole time, enjoying it as a popcorn movie, but at the same time thinking this could have been so much better. Just like with Justice League. And I don't know, man. I feel like, you know, Ayer's a talented director, and I don't know, man. I want to see it. I really want to see it. Fingers crossed. There's a hell of a movement going on social media for release the Ayer cut now, but like Rob said, it's probably not going to happen. But I want to.
Like WB
Brandon,
is
you
aware
got
of it, but they've gone on record saying it's not going to happen. But
well, yeah, but they said that the Snyder cut wasn't going to happen either.
Yeah.
And then they ended up dumping an additional $70 million into it to have it all finished. Now, Ayer says it would not require any additional money. The whole movie is shot. They just have to put it together.
Oh, well, there you go. WB, what are you doing? We know what you're doing. Nothing good.
Nothing good.
Yeah.
We're focusing on the future. But the problem is, WB, you don't have the slightest idea what that future is. You keep changing everything. Okay, before I go on too hard of a rant, maybe we should move on to the comics.
But what do you think, Brandon?
Was that?
About the Ayer cut?
I don't know. I'm kind of ambivalent towards it. I don't know. I didn't really enjoy Suicide Squad all that much. I mean, I hope that if it were to come about, it could, you know, give people that closure that they want. But as for me, I don't know that I have any kind of rush to be like, oh yeah, like totally, let's get on it. I'm kind of just like, you know, if it's out and maybe there's some interesting discourse about it, I might check it out. But
there's a bit of the leaked script from the original vision, I suppose you would say, that is out there. You just got to find it, and Ayer confirmed that it is actually part of the script. So there, in my personal opinion, I have a feeling maybe Ayer leaked it himself.
Yeah, it's certainly possible. Yeah, no, I don't know. I kind of felt the same way about the Snyder cut too. I was like kind of ambivalent towards it. I actually saw Justice League twice. And I
the first one or the second one?
The first one, and that was not a good decision. Because it was literally just, well, it was like I went to see it once because you know, my mom was like, oh, let's see Justice League. You like superheroes? And I was like, all right, sure, why not? And then I saw it and I was like, ooh, I want to watch this again. And then I had a friend who hadn't seen it yet, and he was like, dude, we gotta watch it. I was like, I really don't want to though. And he's like, oh no, come on, it'll be fun. So I ended up watching it twice, like within the same week, and it was just like, ooh, this is tough.
I got you a little beat there.
Yeah. Oh really?
When the Snyder cut came out, we know it's a 4-hour long movie, right?
Yeah. No, I remember.
So I watched it. I watched it at night. I got up the following morning and told my kids about, you know, about what I just watched, and they were like, well, can we watch it? I'm like, yeah, you can watch it. The first part might be a little scary for you, but yeah, if you want to, we can sit down and watch it. So we did. I sat down there for another 4 hours and watched it again the very next morning. And as my wife was walking through, she stopped and watched it for about 10 minutes and then walked on. So I was like, oh, she's not interested. Well, a few hours after I finished watching that with the kids, she asked me if I would mind watching it with her that night, because it looked like it was really good. So I saw within 2 days I watched a 4-hour movie 3 times.
Jesus.
Which is
the only time I would ever do that if it was Lord of the Rings, if it was, Return of the King or something.
Yeah, but if you're gonna do that, you may as well watch Justice League and watch something good.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Rob hates Lord of the Rings.
Oh my God!
I don't hate Lord of the Rings.
We can't get into this.
I just think Star Wars is so much better.
All right, no, I'm not gonna get into this with you now because we have a show to do. But rest assured, this argument is not done.
Yeah, that could be a show all to itself.
Yeah. No, yeah, I don't know. I did end up watching the Snyder Cut, like I think a month after it came out, because a friend and I were just like, all right, let's just fucking sit down and watch this. It's like 4 hours. Let's just see if we can get through it. And we took 2 days to watch it because we started at like 10 o'clock or something. We got halfway through. I was like, I'm tired. I need to sleep. So we stopped halfway through and then picked it up the next day. And it was long and it was a lot. And that's all.
Sounds like you weren't impressed.
Well, I don't want to say I was entirely unimpressed, but it was more like, because I will give it the credit that it was certainly a lot more cohesive than the first one.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we can do another show on that too if you want. It was
for sure.
It was a lot. It was a lot to unpack.
All right. Since we're on that subject, I know I said let's get onto the comics, but since this on the subject, I was sitting here thinking about this here just the other day about the studio interference and stuff after I saw that about Air. And I can't help, in my head anyway, to parallel what the studios are doing with mostly DC properties, and paralleling that to the Comics Code Authority and how they put their finger on what was allowed and what couldn't and how long a comic book was supposed to be and all of that nonsense. And is there anybody out there left that still thinks the CCA was a good idea? And if not, maybe WB ought to pay attention to that.
Well, I heard an interesting take recently. I gotta find whether it was an article or something like that, which was, and I don't know that I necessarily agree, but it was basically that with the advent of the CCA, because I love that period of history where it was like, you had a lot of almost really kind of revolutionary stuff pre-code before everything comes out. But I heard an interesting take that was basically like, with the code, a lot of companies were forced to pivot, which in some ways resulted in a lot more creative experimentation on what they could and could not do, especially in the underground scene. And then, as they got to the 70s, it was almost like a tap dance of like, okay, we can push it, we can push it, we can push it. Let's just see how far we can push it until they say no. And then, we'll just kind of see what happens there. And then I know
there was a lot of pushing, but I feel like there was even more subtlety.
Yeah, I know they relaxed it around, I want to say like 71 or 72 or 73 after Marvel did the Spider-Man drug issues with Harry tripping his ass off on LSD or whatever it was. Now, obviously, they couldn't like explicitly say it, but like the implication is there. I think he was like taking pills or something, but obviously they're talking about like hallucinogen, that sort of thing.
Right.
And then, obviously by the 1980s, everyone was just like, all right, we're kind of done. But it is surprising to me how long a lot of publishers actually put the code label on their books, for well into at least, I think, in DC's case, until like 2010 or something. It's pretty recent. But it's like at that point, it had been entirely stripped of meaning because obviously no one cared. Like, this is a company that had at that point published The Death of Superman, Watchmen, and plenty of other books featuring grotesque amounts of violence. But it is surprising to me. It is actually a little sweet because I think I read somewhere where it was like they were still sending it in to like this little old lady who was like giving her a little stamp on it and then sending it back to them. I was like, oh, that's, a terrible code, but like there's something kind of sweet about that where they're just like they're keeping this poor woman employed after God knows how long just to give her a little stamp of approval, even though at that point she's probably like so checked out of what they're actually putting in these books that doesn't even matter.
Right.
But yeah,
it wasn't just violence that they censored. They censored a whole bunch of shit that they just were never allowed to address inside the comic books. But you are very right. They did learn how to tap dance it around it with subtlety and slight differences, and still kind of get the meaning or what they were trying to say across without violating that. So I mean, yeah, it did provoke them to be more creative. I still think that, I mean, I'm very, very much a anti-censorship on art kind of guy in any way, shape, or form. And I mean, I guess I just sitting there thinking about what Ayer had to say the other day, I just started rolling that around in my head more. And it just, I mean, movies or not, it still feels that same way.
Yeah, no, yeah, it is still kind of weird to me that there are a lot of like, I don't know, regulations in place that still like kind of rate stuff and have like, these kinds of rules and dictations on what you can and can't do, which is yeah, to me it's still kind of bizarre, because like, I mean, you'll look at movies from like the 30s or something, and it'll say like pre-code movie, and you're like, what does that mean? I don't even, what is that talking about? And then you realize it's like, oh my god, there's still organizations in place that like rate these things and still have rules that are just like, oh, you can't go this far, without having like a a freaking like X rating or something crazy like that. Yeah, I don't know. It's a very bizarre history dealing with censorship, which is like right up my alley. But again, we're not gonna go into that. That's like a big ass rabbit hole we can go down, and like, I don't want to do that, because I know I can get distracted on that stuff super easily. But
you and me both.
Yeah.
It can all be boiled down.
I don't understand why millions of people had to fight to get the Snyder version released of Justice League, but something completely doing away with his artistic vision. But then a movie like Nymphomaniac shows on every movie theater in the entire country. How in the hell was that art? That's not art to me, but it's art to somebody. Art should be allowed to be made. Quit censoring. Quit limiting.
Yeah.
And that's all I'm going to say before we do go down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
All right. Out of the rabbit hole and into the books.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, no, it is my honor, it is my pleasure to start us off our reviews this week. Well, actually, before we do that, we do need to give a bit of a brief mention, an honorable mention, to the most recent issue of Wonder Woman. I believe Josh was going to catch us up on that, so I'll just I'll let you mention that before we get into our main reviews for this week.
Yeah, all right. So we're talking about Wonder Woman 781, and it had a backup in it. I didn't realize it was going to have a backup in it, but it does. The first part of the issue is Wonder Woman pretty much trying everything to deal with coming back from the dead. There's a new funky Wonder Woman that shows up to kick the shit out of Steve Trevor, and then a few pages later, we see a sky filled with Wonder Woman, all Diana. So no idea where that's going, but I guess we'll find out. Then in the backup, it's about a woman earning her place to become a member of the Bana Migdal. She earns her place because her and two other participants are told to fight to the death for their place, and while the other two grabbed guns, she said no, and that's how she got in. Don't fight female women, empower them. That was the hidden secret test, and she got in. She moved her name from Mabel Jefferson to Ya Atsawana, and just as they're about to celebrate, they're attacked by a single-headed chimera, and this is apparently supposed to lead us to the Road of the Amazons. That's it. Overall, it's better. I'm glad she's back on Earth. It's not all the way there yet, though. So I'm definitely going to have to read the next issue before I suggest it coming off of the dump list or lightning reviews and going into full review. Regardless, I gave it a 7.5.
Cool. I did not read this issue, so I'll check
Don't
it
blame
out
you.
at some point.
It's been a disappointing run as of late, but I'm a pretty big Wonder Woman family fan, and every issue I'm reading, I'm like, give me something to make me want to talk about this on the show.
Right, yeah.
We barely got there this one, but hopefully we'll see more.
Rob, did you have any thoughts on this one?
I was really into this one. It looks like it's shying away from the stories we've had, and it looks like it's going in a direction that is all around better. But like Josh said, we'll give it another issue or two and see just how the story quality is going. But so far, I like it. I'm interested.
Cool.
All right.
Well, then in that case, it is my honor and my pleasure to start our reviews off this week with Action Comics 1036. This series has just been on like I don't know, just like a straight rise ever since. God, when did it start? Like 1029 or something like that.
Ever since Philip Kennedy Johnson took the mantle, took the role.
I know I was kind of alone on enjoying the Golden Age, but I was like, even from there, and I keep saying it like a broken record. Even from there, I was like, there's something about this guy that bringing a certain energy to this run where I'm like, there is something here that is going to be special. And here we are starting the World Saga, which I was so excited for.
Yes.
Just getting into this kind of epic moment in Superman's history as a leader, as a liberator, as just kind of confronting Warworld, which will seemingly be the last time he does it, as all signs lead to him dying. How long will that last, right? But yeah, it's I think again I'm gonna actually get into what the fuck the book is about, but I just all that is kind of a prelude to say we're starting a new arc, and I really cannot sing the praises of this book enough. It has just been so excellent ever since the other person stopped writing it. And that's all I'll say.
The other person.
But yeah, this is the Warworld Saga Chapter 1, brought to us by Philip Kennedy Johnson on writing, Daniel Samperi on art, and Adriana Lucas with the colors, and Dave Sharp providing the letters. The story itself is actually pretty simple, starting in the, I guess, the political scene of Durlan, where one of the high counselors who is being transitioned to a new position is given the unfortunate news, for him at least, that Superman, as well as an entourage of people, are making their way, just making a fucking beeline towards Warworld to free the refugees, particularly those under the name the Phalosians. He freaks out about it. He's just like, don't ever say that name again. That's not the right message. And if you mention this word to anyone else, you and your pathetic bloodline will cease to exist. Meanwhile...
And this is coming from a dude that was talking all nice and fluffy before he said Phalosians.
Yeah, very, very, very nice, very fluffy, I'm so excited to enter this new era of peace with you, and then just flips his shit at the mention of the Phalosians. Meanwhile, aboard the carrier, which was a very fun little Easter egg, but I guess it makes sense for a story like this featuring the Authority, the team, led by Superman, are making their way, like I said, making a beeline straight for Warworld, ready for whatever is coming, and Manchester Black, excuse me, I can't talk today, is making his usual jokes about how crappy of a place it looks, but from our perspective, from the art perspective, it is absolutely gorgeous looking shot of Warworld itself, just these fiery pits and chasms, and it is just lit so beautifully. It's like, it's amazing. Again, this art team is amazing, but Superman is feeling some kind of way because he knows what's coming, and he sees a body being strung up among the atmosphere of Warworld, and basically is kind of set as a warning, like, all right, you're coming here now. You know what to expect. This is not some kind of, happy leadership type of thing where you're going to come and liberate the people and it's going to be all smiles. This is Warworld, son. This is going to be some ugly shit that you're about to get into. But as they land and meet with one of the people from Mongol's throne room, he sort of informs them that the people that the Phalosians in particular, who had been awaiting the liberation, have been arranged in a very special way for Superman's arrival, which is a very tongue-in-cheek way of saying they have all essentially been crucified as a warning in the way that Mongol himself prefers, using the I guess like maxim or quote, "Follow the dead," or "So say the dead," in particular.
Yeah.
As each dead body is left as some kind of message for Superman that, like I said before, this isn't going to be some kind of happy liberation type shit. This is going to be like you are going to face some really deadly stuff. But I think in the wake of seeing that, there is this really great double page sequence of kind of the warriors sitting outside War World, and there's almost like this drum beat in the background where Superman and the Authority are making their way straight towards the Coliseum, just like burning shit and wrecking shit. And I loved that scene so much because it's like it is literally like a drum beat before Superman gives his big speech in front of all of the citizens of War World and all of the people standing before Mongol, letting them know that this is a new era and he's going to free them. But prior to that, we have to show you that like the Authority are not just like here to provide comic relief or anything. Like they are here for destruction. They are going to make their way through War World like a cannon. Like they are just going to destroy as much as they can, which I think is the best way to get Mongol's attention. So there's a lot of grandstanding from the people in Mongol's imperial court, in particular one by the name of Chetal, who, you know, is giving the standard monologue type of "I'm going to kill all of you, and when your heads are standing on pikes, I will be standing there among the wreckage still alive while the rest of you are dead." And I think Mongol says it best with a little aside comment, or Midnighter says it best with a little aside comment, which is pretty hardcore monologue, which is exactly how I felt, because it's like,
right.
yeah, that's pretty intense, dude, but, you know, like, let's start getting into this shit. But like I said, this is not going to be any easy task for Superman, as Chetal himself uses his powers to, I guess, sort of reveal a kind of a deception that Superman has been working under seemingly ever since the breach that he and John took out in the Golden Age, which is that Superman's radiation, or whatever radiation had affected Superman, has seemingly been weakening his powers to the point where it's physically making him older and look a lot older. Manchester Black reveals that it had basically all been a deception of him and Enchantress working to make Clark look stronger, but in reality he'd been getting weaker and weaker ever since that day, which kind of tracks to the beginning of the War World Rising arc, where Batman is kind of like, "I can tell that you're flagging," and Superman's like, no, that's my normal speed, it's fine. But even though it seems like Superman's powers have been revealed and is you know, significantly weaker than he was now, that is certainly not going to stop Mongol. If anything, that was why he brought him here. His hubris, his desire to just make his way towards Warworld and free the Philosians as fast as he could, is going to lead to his death, as he faces not the Mongol who was, but the Mongol who is, in a battle for the ages that we will not get to see for another month. But if you could not tell by the tone of my voice, and by that long ass intro that I gave, I love this series. I love this series so much. It is just so much fun to read, and more than that, it is a great Superman story. Like it embodies the kind of, you know, scale and scope and epic and heartfelt, genuine Superman story that you would want to read for, you know, months and months on end. And it's exactly the kind of thing that, you know, I had been looking for so long and just had not been able to find in the previous run. And it feels so satisfying to get this, you know, really truly epic tale that might seem like kind of small in scope, like Superman and his team go to War World and free the people. Like, oh, okay, that's a pretty straightforward story. But it's the way in which it's being told, it's the world building, it's the scope of it all, it's the presentation that just makes it such a satisfying read overall. And Daniel Sampere is just drawing his heart out, which makes it a little bit bittersweet to find out that this is his last issue on the book. But don't feel sad, because the artist replacing him is Miguel Mendonça, who, if you've been reading Justice League Last Ride, you already know it's like, oh shit, that's going to look great too. So really exciting stuff coming in the works, at least in terms of the art department. But yeah, no, this was just, for me, it was an excellent read, and I cannot recommend this book enough. And before I shut up and stop talking and let my co-hosts speak as they deserve to, I just want to make one final point, which I mentioned on Slack, but I have to say it. Superman looks really, really good with gray temples. I know it sounds weird, but he looks really good. Like, it looks distinguished. And I think I said that during Superman and the Authority.
I hate that word.
But I know, but it's like, but for real, like, he looks good. Like, it makes him look respectable in this sense. And I know he had the gray temples in Kingdom Come, so that's probably where some of my stuff is coming from. But I'm just like, as a super figure, as like this, powerful symbol, I think, like, let him show his age a little bit. Like, I'm not saying he's old. There are plenty of people who have gray temples that do not look, like decrepit or anything. But if it were me, I would let him keep the gray temples for a little bit. I'm perfectly fine with that. Like, give him the Reed Richards look, I say. But anyway, I gave this an 8.75 out of 10. I loved it.
I liked it too, man. And just to build off of everything that you said, what I've been craving, what I feel like we were kind of promised, is the next evolution of our favorite characters. And while we've got a little bit of conflict here on the show about whether or not we're going to see that, I mean, at least PKGJ has told us that we are going to be heading toward the future state that was broadcasted to us. Maybe not exactly. He didn't specify that, but he did say that he wants to provide a very clear road to what we think is coming, to what we were shown was coming. And I could be more ecstatic about that. We've got John. He's a full-grown man. He's completely capable of being Superman. So let Clark go do something. And I'm glad that this is what it is, man, because it's a hell of a story.
Yeah, and if his future lies in being a liberator and a leader of the next generation, which really was the entire, theme of Superman and the Authority. It's like, okay, our generation did our best. We were great. But now it's time, to try and welcome in something new alongside us. We're not going away. We're saying, let's embrace all of us and try and do something great. So this is where Clark's future is, at least for the next year or so. I'm like, yeah, why not, right? Superman wants to lead the Authority the next year in Action Comics. You will get no complaint with me unless the story just completely falls off.
Fair enough. My concern, though, is, like, how does this move forward? I feel like, I don't know. This is pretty bombastic for them first getting to Warworld. I mean, how crazy this has to get to move forward from here, meeting the baddest of the bad of Warworld already. Clark's already down on his knees. I'm curious because I'm not doubting this at all. I'm like, how in the hell could this get, frankly, any better?
Oh, it is called Warworld Saga for a reason, so it's going to be epic. If comic fans know anything about the word saga, they know it means something.
That's for a long time, and I'm cool with that. I think my biggest complaint here was that it went by too fast.
Yeah, that is true.
It was a really quick read. I gave this one an 8 out of 10. I saw Rob stifling a laugh over there. What were you giggling about, Rob?
That I'm surprised that maybe it's just me. I'm surprised at how low your scores are. Because I gave this a 9.25, and I had to struggle to not give it a 9.5.
It was close to a 9 for me. It's definitely valid.
It was just so exciting.
Yeah.
For a first issue, like, they really hammer home the word saga in this. And it's very early. It's the first friggin' issue, but I could definitely see this going down with the really, really big stories, and I had big stories in my mind a minute ago, and now I forgot.
Death of Superman?
Well, the death of Superman, but I was thinking of other characters too. And I can't remember a single one.
This feels as though it could be as iconic as the death of Superman.
Yeah, for sure.
And to me, I mean, that's fucking phenomenal. And I never thought we would ever see a Superman that even came close to that story. Mm-hmm. And I truly feel that we are getting that now.
Yeah, it is. I mean, for me at least, and I don't want to be disingenuous to some of the Rebirth Superman stuff, but at least for me, I think this is probably, the most interested I've been in action for quite some time. Where I'm like, I can't wait to see what happens next, and that's a really good feeling.
Hell yeah, it is. Hell yeah, it is. Because I mean, let's be honest, we kind of usually know.
Yeah, it can be very predictable sometimes, and I mean, certainly I have my own theories as to how this is going to go. I could be right, I could be wrong, but if as long as it is engaging to read, as long as it's like, okay, I actually look forward to reading it, even if there are elements of predictability. Like my interest is not lost, and that's the most important thing to me, which had happened previously. But like I said, we're not going to get into that. We want to keep it positive here. But anyway.
Well, despite the fact that you say positive, I do have 2 nitpicks that brought the score down a quarter inch, and that's and this is honestly just me loving the aliens in the DC universe. Including the Durlans in this and the way that they were used just felt really out of place for me, and I felt the Durlans were really off, but that is such a minor thing. It was just 3 pages at the beginning of the book and had nothing to do with the Warworld saga in general. And also I guess you call them I don't know that they were actually had a name, the 4 or 5 big warriors in the ring.
Yeah, they're called the baddest of the bad of Warworld.
Oh, they reminded me way too much of the Black Order, I think they were called.
Yeah, I was definitely thinking that same thing, and I was even wondering,
picking out which one was which.
Yeah, I was wondering if someone was going to mention that. Because I was like, I know Rob has read Infinity, so he probably got the same. He probably got the same thought.
That's it. And
it didn't even click with me, but you are 100% right.
Yeah. Apart from that, though, we've been waiting so long for this, and it starts with a bang, and what a bang it is. So yeah,
like literally, there's a whole bunch of bangs.
Yeah,
there's a lot of bangs.
There's a whole 2-page spread of them just banging stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe we should rephrase that one.
Well, yeah. You know what I mean. Yeah. Hopefully don't take that out of context.
Banging drums.
Christ.
Yeah.
All right, we have another part of Action Comics that we would love to talk about, and that is our backup story. So, Josh, do you want to take that one?
Tales of Metropolis?
Yes.
I'm throwing that one over to Rob.
And I will catch it and field that bitch.
Right.
Writer Sean Lewis with art by Sammy Basri, colors by Hi-Fi, and letters from Dave Sharp. This is the Tales of Metropolis backup. I'm going to call it a fan favorite backup, and this one's featuring the Guardian and Jimmy Olsen, part 2 of the Dismember saga, if you will. So the Guardian is interrogating the kid that lures other kids to dismember, and Guardian then gets access to the cyber world to locate the missing kids and finds Dismember. Using an EMP he brought along, he disrupts Dismember and discovers it's actually the kid. He uses the EMP one more time and it breaks the hold the kid has over the children he's taken and the world around him. But he is now trapped there while all the kids and Guardian get free. Before Guardian leaves, Jimmy reveals he has more cases to solve and Guardian's right there with him. It was very short and to the point, but honestly, I liked it. It was not a bad story. It really just feels like a backup, and I think this whole idea of Tales of Metropolis, I call it a fan favorite. It might just be me being a fan of it. It's such an interesting idea, and we've talked before in past episodes about just how many characters Metropolis has within its city limits that are just fun and fascinating and interesting, and to have this idea as a backup in action ongoing to just explore the cast of characters Metropolis has to offer, I think is fantastic. And tying it all together with Jimmy, now rich, just spending his time solving crimes, I think is fantastic.
I keep forgetting that he's loaded now.
Yeah. He got half of Luther's money.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I keep forgetting that, man. Way to go, Jimmy.
Yeah.
All right, Jimmy.
No, I think Rob, you said it perfectly. It's just like it's almost it would almost feel like kind of a weird way to structure your story where you have this, epic Superman story followed by a very quiet story of Jimmy Olsen and Guardian taking down like this techno kid in Metropolis. But I think it works where it's just like, you can read this epic story, but then you're reminded that, Metropolis is still a vibrant, lively place, and that's still important, and there's still a lot of stories to tell, and we haven't forgotten about that. So for the people who maybe like, I kind of miss that Metropolis aspect, well, here you go. Here's an 8-page backstory featuring some of the characters that we kind of love from there. So yeah, I really dug it, and the art is phenomenal too.
You can have rotating talent as well and still keep the same title, and it's as long as it's in Metropolis and it's street level, you're golden.
Yeah, absolutely.
Agreed. I enjoy the hell out of all of these. I mean, so far I have not found one I really don't like. I love that Guardian's getting a minute to shine. Like Rob said, Jimmy Olsen is popping up in every issue. He's the man behind the curtain, so to speak.
Yeah.
The great and powerful Olsen. I feel like after a while, I think we might at least get a full-size one-shot of this, and I know I would buy that in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll put something out, like a Tales of Metropolis style thing. If not a collection of the backups, at the very least, like a follow-up to it. And I think that would be really nice. And then I know that they're kind of ending this these backups, or at least the Tales of Metropolis backup, for a little while. But I did find out that the next backup, and this one I'm actually pretty excited for, is a Martian Manhunter backup.
Yes.
Which is I mean, not only is it going to be super cool to have stories that kind of focus on John a little bit, but for anyone who knows a little bit about their DC history, they'll know that John actually started as a backup character and was then later folded into Justice League of America. So this is kind of almost like him getting back to his roots a little bit, and I hope it's really fun.
You and me both. He's a hell of a character. He's more badass than Superman. The only downside is that his vulnerability isn't, I don't even know, from a character and story driven standpoint, I don't really see this as a downside, but his only weakness is not some mystical rock from another planet that came here in limited supply, but by the way, it's also unlimited. It's fire. And that shit's everywhere. So, I mean, you take for me, it takes somebody that's up on like Superman's power level and almost brings them down to us. And I think that's pretty fucking cool for a character. Mm-hmm. I did not know that was going to be the backups coming through after Tales of Metropolis was done. But now hearing that, I am super stoked.
Yeah, it's I hope it should be. I have no idea like what it's even going to be about. I don't think they've given us any kind of clues, but I think it'll just be, a lot of fun.
I agree. I gave this one an 8, and the whole book an 8. It's pretty damn solid. It's hard to find anything relatively modern with Superman in it that's as good as this.
Mm-hmm. I gave this back up a 7, and I only gave it a 7 because it left me wanting more. But that's what you get with the backup. It's short. It's still fantastic. 8.25 overall for the whole book.
Nice. Yeah, no, I was in a real good mood when I read this, so I gave the backup an 8.5, which is probably higher, and I actually enjoyed it, but I'll just keep it there for now. So I think I'll just kind of round the whole thing up to like let's say like an 8.75 or 8.5-ish, whatever. It was just a really satisfying read overall, and I cannot promote this book enough. I think I can probably promote it just as hard as those Comixology books. But seriously, if you haven't been reading Action Comics so far since Infinite Frontier, I cannot recommend it enough. It has just been such a great ride ever since the start. There you go. But our next book,
since Infinite Frontier.
Yes, since Infinite Frontier, and nothing else. But moving on to our next book, which I think is certainly also pretty exciting in its moments. We have I Am Batman number 3, which Josh will give us all the details on right now.
All right. First off, it is written by John Ridley with the cover from Gerardo Savino, with interior art by Steven Segoya, Kristen Duce, and Rex Locus, with a Larger World Studios, Troy Pateri doing the lettering. So the book starts out with Jace talking about how disappointed he is to his dad, Lucius, because he's attending work like Bruce did when he was Batman, which I thought that was pretty funny. Though Lucius thinks that it's just because Jace was backsliding into whatever his former self was, and I don't really know that so much. I mean, he was a soldier of fortune, and I mean, kind of a dick before that, but I mean, other than that. But anyway, following that, we see Tanya Fox, his mom, offering her services for free to Morris Caulfield, the kid that killed Anarchy, or at least one of them. While she's there, the Moral Authority attacks the juvenile detention center where he's being held. Jace sees a video feed that Vol shows him, and he's told that his mom is in the building, the juvenile building. Batman, go. And he does. There's a full all-out war between a few cops that are at the juvie center and damn near a literal army of the Moral Authority that is attacking it. And of course, that's when Batman shows up, as one would expect him to do, and we hear more about how he's going to show people fear. Again, it's going against the narrative where we were introduced to this when it all started. Batman clears the ground and takes out the leader of the group, and Seer pipes up through a phone and gives Batman a map to where he is. He says he's looking forward to meeting him because he thinks he's special, which is the same bullshit line he tells to all the people he recruits. After Tanya shoots one of the guys that got inside, about to get to, what's his name? Caulfield. We next see Batman outside with all the people's asses he kicked laying on the ground. Immediately after, the cops want to arrest him. They got their guns drawn. He says, arrest me or tend to your wounded, but I would prefer not to get one in the back. And then he leaves. Nobody shoots. That's kind of how we expected it to go. That's an old Batman trait too. Saint and someone I either don't know or have forgotten for some reason are talking about Tyler Arcadine spilling his bean to the cops. But Mystery Man says he has it handled. And by handled, he means he killed the kid. So I'm honestly, guys, I'm getting leery. I love Jace Fox's Batman, and I think Ridley is an excellent writer, but this is starting to feel what is supposed to be an evolution of the Batman character is just starting to feel more and more like regular Batman.
Yeah, I don't really see how it's different. You know, I mean, I think that's a cool idea of someone basically learning how to be Batman using his methods and not, you know, totally going off the deep end like Azrael did however many years ago. But I don't know. I guess, yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat as you, where, because I went back to that. I think after 2, I was like, I didn't really connect that. But I went back to 1 and I was like, yeah, there was that whole scene where it seemed like he was trying to be more of a positive force rather than...
he literally was saying, like, Batman held to the shadows and inspired fear. I'm going to show myself to the people and give them hope so they don't have to be afraid anymore.
Yeah.
And now for the last 3 issues, it's all been fear, 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 fear. And, you know, I mean, if I wanted that, I could pick up a regular Batman book.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess, honestly, that would make sense if there was, you know, some kind of justification for it. Like, oh, okay, after, you know, however many issues, I learned that you can't rule Gotham through a kind hand. You kind of have to rule it through fear. And it's like, okay, that's a little harsh, but at least it's justified.
Right.
But...
Then nothing's happened to make him change his stance, and we haven't even seen it vocalized.
What happened between the events of 1 and 3 that made you go, I'm gonna rule by example, or I'm not gonna rule. I'm gonna lead by example to I'm gonna lead by fear. What
Right.
happened in between? So yeah,
Issue 2.5, I guess, and it's one of those lost books.
maybe yeah, maybe it's somewhere in the Ridley cut. I don't know. Yeah. No, it's as a action read of Batman, beating up on some of the seedier parts of people in the city, it's fine. But in terms of, I don't know, kind of the bigger statement that I thought it was leading towards, it's just not really there. So it kind of got a 7.5 out of 10 for me, where it was just like, yeah, it was a solid read, but I don't know that I really felt anything deeper.
No, I'm disappointed by the lack of evolution. I'm disappointed by just basically, instead of giving us a new character, all they did was give us a black Batman. And I think that Jace Fox makes an excellent Batman. I think he was excellent in issues 1 and issues 2, and then everything kind of just went to shit. Well, issue 2 is when we started seeing him say this fear stuff, but I don't know what happened, and it bums me out. Why are we reverting to typical Batman behavior? You're supposed to be a brand new guy. You come from a completely different family. All of that, you have a total different background, a totally different personality, but when you put that suit on, it's I'm Batman, and that's nobody needed that.
Yeah.
Let Jace Fox be the character you started out with in all the advanced issues that we got. I Am Batman 0 and number 1, and stick with the character. Don't. Oh, you know what? Creators, don't go on Twitter for fan reactions, please.
Yeah.
It's got me a little bummed out. So I only gave this a 7.75. The art is fantastic to look at in this book, and the story is pretty good. I don't like the way Jace is acting.
Yeah, you're not the only one. His father doesn't like the way he's acting either.
That's because he thinks he's acting like Bruce.
Yeah. And we've come full circle.
Exactly.
I gave it an 8, and I bumped my score up because of the art, and I thought the action sequences were really good.
Mm-hmm.
The combat I thought was awesome, and the twist of, I don't remember her first name, Mrs. Fox, Jace's mother, having
Tanya.
to... Okay, it is Tanya. For some reason I thought that was his sister. There's so many Foxes, it's hard to keep track of which one's which.
Right.
I thought that was an interesting twist where she basically had to kill or be killed. And that's interesting considering her stance on vigilantism. I get that it's not vigilantism, but it's close.
Close.
Yeah.
Hopefully it'll make her look at things a little differently.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got distracted for a second because the file for Cosmic Detective just came in, and I got really excited.
Nice.
I'm sorry. Keep going.
I'm still sold on Jace's journey for now. I'm just waiting for more from it because so far it's feeling like the same. And I'm not even thinking just the same as Batman have already had. It's just I get it's only issue 3, but not much has changed. It's like he's doing the exact same thing just in a different place every issue. Doesn't really feel like the story is progressing much.
Not much.
Yeah.
Not much. Did you give a score, Brandon?
Yeah, no, I said 7.5.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what's up next?
Yeah, making our way into our next book this week is a story that is, I don't know, a little psychedelic. I don't, just kind of bizarre. I don't really have any other way to.
Are you talking about the book in general or the art style?
Not the art style as much, although it certainly feeds into that feeling of confusion. And that is Black Manta number 3, which is, I will let Rob give us our full review, but was a series that I think has just kind of, I don't know, gotten to a really weird place. So I'll let Rob give us
Mm-hmm.
the intricate details.
It's not weird, man.
It's
It's
not weird.
deep.
Oh my god, is it though? I mean, I've had my brain zonked out before, and even I
Oh, that was
couldn't
a
enjoy
fantastic
this.
episode. I will
Yeah,
never forget that one.
yeah. So
Okay, all right, Black Manta number 3. This is from writer Chuck Brown with art by Matthew Dow or Doe Smith. Colors by Marissa Louise and letters from Clayton Cowles. The very, very simple synopsis. There are 3 settings, and we go through them very quickly. Black Manta uses Gentleman Ghost's power to see ancient Atlantis, and he finds the info he needs almost instantly. A sect of Atlantean people were originally from Africa, and apparently that's all he needed. Afterwards, Manta and Gallus the Goat get ambushed by a mysterious Hellion, but they get the upper hand and take her with them unconscious. And meanwhile, Devil Ray has infiltrated Atlantis and called a meeting of, I imagine, the higher-ups of Atlantis guards, including Commander Merc, and I want to say he gassed them, but they're underwater, so something similar to underwater gassing. And all but Merc passed out right away. Merc got the chance to attack, but failed, and Devil Ray has now begun his stance to take over Atlantis. There is a lot of talk about this one being weird, and I can agree. I keep going back to how a lot of or a whole section of ancient Atlanteans were just from Africa, and there are questions running through my mind. We saw ships, Atlantean ships, flying back to Africa, but if this has never been known before, would those ships not still be there? Would there not be any evidence? Um, why were they taken from? Did they go to Atlantis? How did they get there? What? Why? What's the connection? And what? Why does that all Black Manta needed to know? I thought he was going through this to find out what happened with these stones. But he didn't find anything about the stones. He just found out about some other big mystery that nobody ever knew about. That has nothing to do with his history as far as he knows. And he's done with it. 2 minutes in and out, 20-minute adventure. All of a sudden, this is Rick and Morty, and I'm losing my goddamn mind.
Yeah, Rob's frustration is like echoed for all of us, because I think I had that exact same reaction. Where I'm just like,
pretty much.
my mind hurts.
It feels very disconnected.
Yeah.
And there's like Devil Ray. I'm assuming I can't remember ever hearing about him before. And the people in Atlantis were depicted as going, who is this guy? It's got to be Black Manta pretending to be somebody else. So I'm assuming
right?
that he's. I'm
That's
sorry.
what you would think, right? That
Right.
was what I thought.
So
Yeah.
Black Manta is he's starting to feel like he's a decent guy that does wrong things. But now he's got someone that I believe might actually be related to him that is far worse. I think Devil Ray and Black Manta may be related. That's my guess. Also, I'm the cover, and I can't stand it when people do this. But just like when we got that Black Ice sneak peek, they didn't call her Black Ice for 4 months. And on the cover of this one, we get to see someone called Torrid, and I think that's just Manta's henchman. I don't know. This is altogether a weird book.
Yeah.
It's got good art. It just falters in a few places, but I had to give this a 7.5.
Yeah, this one got a 7 out of 10 for me. I like Valentin Delangero's art sometimes, like an asterisk next to sometimes. But yeah, just the story mixed with some of the murkiness of the art, it's a bad scene overall, and it just, I don't know, it's a little weird and off-putting.
Yeah.
Yep, I'd give you that.
I gave it a 6.
I was trying to be nice, man.
I will be nice. I am interested in the Devil Ray part of the story, and the potentially Tord is her name part of the story, but the title character, so far his story leaves a lot to be desired.
Yeah, it's almost feel like they're trying to paint him. I'd say like a Lex Luthor type villain.
Yeah.
Or my brother would call him the greatest humanitarian on Earth, and he's very much a Lex Luthor and Joker fan. But I get that kind of feeling that they're kind of trying to present Black Manta as that. He's just a good guy trying to do good things that doesn't do good things. And if you do it right, we could have a great redemption arc and shit like that for Black Manta. But it's very confusing as to what it is they're setting up in this issue, especially considering it's such a limited run and we're already on number 3. Got me a little confused.
Yeah.
It's murky writing, and the art is, and I say this in a nice way, kind of. I feel it's like Jeff Lemire's art on magic mushrooms.
Really? That is the weirdest description I have ever heard. And
but oddly enough, I understand it.
I think, but I don't know. I mean,
it's Lemire's drawing style is very much almost sketchy, kind of, and this seems like it was trying to be that, but put their own spin on it, and it just got really psychedelic.
I was thinking more David Mazzucchelli. But,
okay, there you go.
Like,
Mazzucchelli would be a good example.
I was thinking David Mazzucchelli, but like a 10th grade David Mazzucchelli. Like you're almost there, but you're not quite there. It sounds mean because like I know Valentin Delandra. Like he is a consummate professional. He's really good. Did Bitch Planet with Kelly Sue, which is crazy, but I've heard is a lot of fun. But I don't know. This book is just, maybe it's the colors, maybe it's just not the right setting. It's just it's not really working.
I'll give you that. Them colors were very muddy.
Yeah. No, I think that's the thing. It's just like, this whole series is just, it's very muddy. It's murky, which
for water that shouldn't be the case.
Well, actually, I was gonna say, I was like, for water, normally that should work. Like, oh, you want like kind of a, I don't know, like a undersea kind of vibe, but it's not working here.
Well, yeah, undersea, not under lake.
Yeah, no, not under like a swamp.
Right. Yeah. Oh boy, I think we're gonna get hate mail now. From the creator.
Comes with the territory, I guess.
It does.
I would love though to see, if I could see Chuck Brown write any character, I would love to see him write Kite Man.
Oh yeah, hell yeah! Chuck Brown doing Chuck Brown.
Exactly. Yeah.
Hell yeah. That would be epic. I did a quiz the other day that said that it was your DC villain according to your astrological sign, and I got hell yeah. I got Kite Man.
Very good.
It's like, what the shit? Yeah. But all right, I think that's about enough of wandering around in the mud for us.
I think we covered that more than we had planned to, but I guess we just kind of got into it.
We like bitching about things.
I guess we do. Let's get into something that I think will be a little bit more positive, certainly in terms of artwork, and that is Justice League Last Ride, the final issue. It's here. And that is, of course, brought to us by Chip Zdarsky with art from Miguel Mendonça, colors from Erica Angiolini, and letters from And World Design. For a story that felt quite grand, this was a very short ending, which is why my review is going to sound kind of brief. Basically, after John is able to reconstitute his form as a construct in some kind of way, he, alongside Wonder Woman, are working together to take down Darkseid, while Superman has been wounded from the kryptonite blades of the cyborg Superman Brainiac hybrid, and Batman, in an act of great stupidity, decides to take down cyborg Superman for himself It's like, dude, you know that guy's like half Kryptonian. What are you on? You were going to die. And of course, his dumbass gets stabbed with a kryptonite knife. But then I guess he and Clark have a nice little heart-to-heart before...
Before he bleeds out.
Before he... No, it seemingly bleeds out, but no. Before... before Jon Stewart steps in and decides to work with John a little bit in taking down Darkseid. But that is when Hal Jordan finally decides to have his big moment and take a little bit of that Lantern energy for himself in order to, stand against Darkseid with his own Justice League of constructs, which he puts together. And Darkseid, in a quote that made me laugh out loud, will not be defeated. Darkseid will not be defeated by feeble simulacra, which was like the most incredibly pretentious way of saying I'm not going to be beat by these fucking copies. But it just made me laugh. Darkseid has clearly been sitting in my English literature class. In any case, the Justice League are able to take down Darkseid with one big epic crash and punch from Superman and Wonder Woman before Hal Jordan chases him into space before I guess drowning him in the boom tube bombs and basically letting him die. Guess they don't have any problems with that at that point, where Hal is just like, he used me, I was so sad, but I still let him die. Actually, I basically helped him along that way for some reason. But it all works out in the end, I guess, as Lobo is made to stand trial, as they had wanted to do from day one. And the big three are able to reconcile and acknowledge that, they have to work together in their own ways. Bruce, in particular, had put them away for a while, but now they kind of recognize that the Justice League has to work together to avoid such things like this happening again. So yeah, big smiles, big endings, but unfortunately not big smiles for me. It was an okay ending. It was fine, but I think I came away from it feeling a little bit, I don't know, unsatisfied. And the reason for that was, for a book called Justice League Last Ride, I guess I was expecting a last ride. And it sounds morbid, but I really thought like, oh, okay, this is the Justice League's last, big hoorah. Like, let's go out with a bang before we all die. And then they kind of just come away, from it all unscathed, essentially. And they're just like, nope, we're back to fighting and everything is okay. And I don't know, that just felt like any other Justice League ending that you could have. There was nothing really special about it at all. It had some really nice artwork and some really great scenes. And it's a satisfying read, certainly. But again, as an end to this series, it kind of felt like a disappointment for me. So I gave this an 8 out of 10. I really think it's probably closer to a 7.5 if I'm being honest. I had a satisfying time reading it, but I just kind of came away from it saying, well, what was the point? Like, you kind of set all this stuff up in the first issue, especially with Superman, of this idea where it's like, I'm trying to save everyone, but I can't. And I know that my time is coming, and I'm trying to work towards that. And then at the end, they're just like, nope, we're all good now. Everything's fine. And I was like, what kind of resolution is that? Like, it feels like you didn't even really address it at all. So, yeah, that was how I felt. And, the art from Miguel Mendoza is, as we have said since the first issue, absolutely spectacular, just stunning. There were a little points, I think, in 5 and 6 where it was a little bit lacking, but I think really pulled out all the stops in this issue. Just gorgeous stuff all around. But again, in terms of the ending, I was kind of disappointed, I have to be honest. I honestly think it might have benefited from another issue and maybe just kind of having that resolution. And I mean, I even remember a scene in issue 3 where Batman is kind of talking about I'm really proud of the next generation. It feels like they are going to surpass us. And I was like, oh, obvious foreshadowing. When the Justice League die, the Titans generation are going to be the Justice League at the end of this series. But no, I guess not. I guess everyone just kind of comes away with big smiles and happy. And I mean, I guess that's fine, but I don't know. Maybe I just am a freaking sadist who wants the gory, disgusting ending for the Justice League to die.
No.
Yeah, I don't know.
I look, the title is obviously misleading, and as somebody who has a problem with misleading covers, that's an issue for me. That the title is misleading. But I do have to say that this issue is better than the previous issue, only because I messed up and I thought last issue was the last issue.
I was gonna ask you, which ending did you like better?
This one. It was a very different kind of ending than what I was expecting. Last Ride, of course, I would have thought that we would have seen at least some of them die.
Yeah, I was expecting like at least like I don't know, like someone, like it's a last ride.
Someone to die, right? But Batman didn't die, even being stabbed with the knife. The one person that did die got brought back. So it was. Here's the thing, though. Okay, so we got John as a Guardian. Apocalypse is new Oa, and they bring up Justice League Universal. I mean, the ideas are weird, but the ones presented are also pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
All of those could work. And, I mean, honestly, I can't help but wonder if Zdarsky actually had something planned or has something planned for a Justice League Universal, or if this is just some kind of, like, hang-up spot like in Doomsday Clock where they said the Hulk was coming. But either way, it doesn't factor into this score. I guess I went into this thankful that I had some kind of an ending other than what I was given last issue. That definitely could be the case, but I gave it an 8.25 out of 10.
Yeah, I would love to see more of this world. And how they ended it is very interesting, but it certainly didn't end how I thought it would. And you guys have both said it, and I will say it too. Somebody should have died. Like, it's comics; they never stay dead for long. And yes, this is the last issue, but it's perfectly natural for heroes to die. I think we've seen every single one of these characters die at least once.
Yeah,
probably way more than just once.
The only one I can't think of dying is John, I think.
I'm having trouble with that too, but he was technically a Black Lantern for 3 pages. So
does that count though?
Not really, but oh no, we did in Future State.
Okay, fair enough. But still, this is completely disconnected. This is an alternate universe. This is not something tied to the main timeline. So there was no need at all to have this end with everything happy. Yeah. It was called Justice League Last Ride, and to me, that means last ride of the Justice League.
Yeah, it's in the fucking title.
Yeah.
Right?
The odds were stacked against them. They had Green Lantern Darkseid. They had Brainiac Cyborg Superman. They had an army of bounty hunters and soldiers and manhunters all converging on the planet to fight 7 lone heroes. And what the fuck were they? One of them doesn't even have powers, and he got stabbed and still survived by green alien energy for some reason. John can use his Martian powers as a construct, and that makes no fucking sense. But
he's infused. I think it says that he's infused with the battery now. If I'm not mistaken,
I have no idea.
That's what it said. But still, I mean, it was, and you know, for Zdarsky, things usually will get a little out there, and that's always a fun ride. Mm-hmm. But it shouldn't be too fun when it's called Last Ride.
Yeah. It's just I don't know. Like I felt disappointed where it's like you had all this foreshadowing, you had all this, you know, all these allusions towards this is it. This is the last ride of the Justice League. Like, gear up, because after this, they're done. And, you know, they all just kind of come out like, oh, everything's fine. Let's make a bigger Justice League. I don't know. It's just it's almost like a slap in the face to the title where it's like, why call it that? Why not just call it like Justice League: A New Hope or something? I'm ripping off Star Wars.
Right.
Yeah.
Justice League, one more fair.
Justice League: The Resurrection. Call it Justice League: The Resurrection. Like the Justice League had died, and now they're resurrected. Call it that.
Maybe. Okay, so the book ends with them. It ends with them in the watchtower, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, and they were boom tubed there, right?
Or however they got back. I mean, seemingly.
I believe they were boom tubed there.
Mm-hmm.
So they went there with a spaceship, right?
Sure.
And then got boom tubed back to the watchtower. Maybe it was called Justice League Last Ride because they're never riding a spaceship again.
That is, God. No, we're stopping recording. That is a terrible joke.
That was a worse journey
terrible
than
joke.
Last Ride's journey.
I feel like we ought to reach out to Zdarsky and ask him.
Such a terrible joke. The whole title of the 7-issue series that we read for 7 months was literally so they could make a pun where the Justice League got their ship destroyed and it was the last ride in the Javelin.
That's
dude, you know what? I'm reaching out to Zdarsky on Twitter and I want to confirm.
That is true. That is such a terrible joke.
He's got
a good sense of humor.
I love it.
No, but that is literally just like the biggest I'm gonna fuck with the fans and just make them think it's about one thing when it's not.
I think you've made Brandon very upset.
You just broke my brain
thought
for
we
a
were
second.
breaking the Justice League, and all we did was break their bus.
Yeah. That would. But you know what? Honestly, that sounds like something he would do. Like all this is just. A setup
I'm saying.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if, because he has the Substack newsletter thing. I wouldn't be surprised if the next one is just like, oh yeah, the reason I called it Last Ride was because of they won't get to ride in their spaceship anymore, so it's the last ride of their spaceship. Like, fuck you. It's a terrible joke.
Maybe.
That is such a terrible, like, basically just lowbrow dad joke, but I wouldn't be surprised. Did you write this story, Josh?
No comment.
Yeah. All right.
No, that wasn't me, man.
Jesus.
In the end, though, I gave it an 8.5 as the art is killer, and that was the only thing that got killed in this thing. And this issue actually gave me my favorite moment. So I'll reveal it later. But longtime fans of me, that sounded weird. We'll probably take a good guess at what it is. But 8.5 for me.
Nice.
Didn't end how I thought, but I enjoyed it still.
Yeah, no, that's perfectly fair.
I mean, we had to have Superman, Batman, bromancing.
Of course. Well, I don't know. I mean, Clark literally says, like, Bruce, that was so stupid. Why did you do that? Which made me laugh.
Just sounds ripped out of a romance.
I know. It's just like, Bruce, you dumbass. Why did you do that? That was dumb. Such good friends. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Our next book for this week is Robin and Batman, #1. Part of a 3-issue series exploring a different origin of the dynamic duo. So, Josh, I'm going to let you take that away.
As soon as I finish tweeting Zdarsky.
Yes, yeah. Christ.
Tweet. And it's sent. All right. Written by Jeff Lemire with interior art and a beautiful cover from Dustin Nguyen and lettering from Steve Wands. This is the beginning of Dick Grayson, or rather the new one. He's on the street to take out some bad guys, and he does start to lose the fight a couple times. And hold on, guys, because this was like nearly a 50-page book. Batman shows up and scolds him for not listening to him when he said abort the mission. Batman pulls him off of active duty. Dick has to go to school, and he hates it. Alfred agrees with Bruce and even builds on it and says maybe in a few years. And that he'll be able to go back out and be Robin again after Batman benched him. And he even goes so far as to say that he burned his costume. Though he wasn't named at this time. He kind of looked a little like... I mean, it's weird, but I think he kind of looked a little like, almost like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, the outfit that he had on.
No, he definitely did, especially with the mask.
Yeah.
Like Laundry Day TMNT.
There you go, man. There you go. So, of course, going with the opposite of what he thinks Bruce would want, he's going to go with bright red and yellow instead of the dark colors that he knows Bruce would suggest. Batman is going after the rest of the gang that Dick was fighting earlier because he found out that there was more to the story, and maybe he's a bit wrapped up because he doesn't realize that Dick is following him in his brand new costume. That would be a Robin costume that's pretty close to the one we're familiar with the exception of the green underwear. So Batman sees the same guys as he saw the previous night. Jiminy Christmas. Dick is down there, but Croc comes up from behind and wants to know where he got that costume. And he's pretty angry about it. He wants to know where he got that costume. He starts throwing him around. Of course, Batman swoops in to save him and abandons the mission because he's got 2 broken ribs and Dick is causing problems. Back at the Batcave, Dick asserts that he thought it was a test, that Batman was trying to see whether or not Dick was good enough. And then Batman goes after his costume of choice and calls it ridiculous. And emotionally, Dick replies that it's not ridiculous, it's my family's. And Bruce says, I know. And I was like, wow, I can't believe. I mean, Batman's a dick, man, but that was huge. Until we flip the page. And then we see a way wicked cool Robin suit. And he knows it's Robin. But Bruce picked that name out only because he read Dick's diary and found out that Robin is what his mom used to call him. Insisting that it was because they should have no secrets. He had good intentions for Batman, trying to give Dick what he wanted, but he is definitely not the most personable guy. Dick doesn't take very well to Batman having gone through his journal. But meanwhile, we see Croc walking up to the old Haley's circus, and we find out that Croc was there in the circus as well. And that means that he knows who Robin is. Going through and reading this thing, it felt nowhere near 50 pages long.
Yeah, that was my first point where I was just like, was this 50 pages? Really?
Let me go back and count.
I know, seriously.
Did they fuck the numbering up?
I was like,
it went by so fast.
Because I remember getting to that scene with Bruce and Dick is like, that was the one secret I had. And then shortly after the book ends, I was like, wait a minute. Wasn't this supposed to be like 50 pages? What are you talking about? It was bizarre, but again, that's a sign of quality where you're really.
Oh yeah, it is. Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you can read something that's twice the size of a normal comic book and think it might be a couple pages shorter than a normal comic book, you did your damn job.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It didn't feel like it at all until I had to summarize it. But yeah, dude, I was completely engrossed. Story is so good. Wynn's art is freaking phenomenal. Especially with Lemire's writing.
I know. I was like, and I don't know how many times I've probably mentioned it at this point, but they were just such a killer team on Descender, and seeing them do this, and it's like, yeah, it's another Batman book, yeah, it's another origin, but like, I don't know. Some things you kind of just have to take, or you're just like, all right, fuck it. If the Descender team want to do a Batman story, why not? I'm not going to complain.
Let them do it. You know what? There should be one golden rule in comics, and that is never tell Lemire no.
Yes. Yeah. No, I wholeheartedly agree with that. I'm a huge fan of Jeff Lemire. I'm literally sitting across from the big used copy I got of the I guess he worked with. I'd never heard of this guy before, but some Canadian artist named Gord Downey to do like an adaptation of an album called Secret Path, and it's like some of the most beautiful stuff I've ever seen. But what's that?
Nothing. My just inner Canadian is screaming at you.
Oh, because hey, give me a break, okay?
No, but you just like some Canadian artist never heard Gord Downey.
Oh shit! I'm about to get flamed so hard. Like anyone who listens
singer Of the Tragically Hip, man.
I don't know. I'm not from Canada. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Have you
man.
never heard of the Tragically Hip?
I've not.
Holy
Jesus,
shit!
man. The
Well,
dude
see,
had a
Rob,
wave
I'm
of
How did it get
surprised.
so
I guess
flamed?
in Canada,
Fuck.
I mean, I guess you would probably know better, even though you're so much younger. But the Tragically Hip they've been around a long ass time,
Really?
man.
Yeah,
Oh,
when we were
God.
Oh
talking
yeah.
about greatest Canadian exports, Rush was very, very like Rush was number one. Tragically Hip's a close second.
Really? Okay.
Oh
Poutines,
yeah.
poutines are two, and
Oh
then
God.
Tragically Hip is three.
Now I'm scared. Now I'm scared. Tell Kirk not to listen to this episode, because I know I'm gonna get
Oh,
so
no.
much shit for that. Oh, no.
Kirk hates DC. He won't check it
No,
out.
please. Yeah, I know. Like, oh God.
The last thing I have to say other than my score is I just want to mention again how fucking cool that Robin suit is.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
dope. And apparently,
It's so dope. It's better than any of them that I have ever seen.
I mean, I definitely still have like a soft spot for the classic Pixie Boots costume, and I don't know why. I just think it's so
Me either.
crazy, but yeah, no, it is a wicked cool redesign. And apparently, next issue, according to like some teaser art I saw from Dustin, they're supposed to be like meeting the Teen Titans too, or Dick is. I can't wait for that. So,
Oh, that'll be sweet,
yeah.
dude.
so
Regardless, man, this issue earns an easy 9 out of 10.
yeah, ditto. They got a 9 out of 10 for me. I can't wait for the next one. And I don't know if this series is like bi-monthly or monthly or whatever the schedule they're doing, but yeah, I'm
Fuck,
super.
I wish it was weekly.
Yeah, I mean it would be a bitch to
Yeah.
draw, but I love it. So.
Do it all ahead of time and then release it weekly.
Yeah, but yeah, no.
I'm sorry. I've been watching Netflix too long.
Yeah.
As
Oh,
a
man.
9 out of 10 for me as well. I think it's a story that's just worth it. It's worth a read. It's worth a look. The art is beautiful. The designs are fantastic. The story is very interesting. And it's a side of the origins of the dynamic duo that you don't see very often. And I love seeing new sides of things we already love and having Dick as a grown up for so long. It's refreshing to have him as a child once in a while.
Yeah.
And it very much is a Robin book, but I appreciate the and Batman because as much as this is a turning point in Dick's life and a growing point for him, it's also obviously a growing point for Bruce, where he's learning to become a father.
Yeah, because he's very much taking some lessons from Alfred, telling him,
yeah.
dude, don't treat him like a soldier.
Exactly.
Although it did remind me of like, for some reason, well, actually, not really for some reason. It's kind of obvious, but All-Star Batman and Robin, where he's literally treating him like a soldier. He's just like, you need to fucking train, and you're gonna eat the rats like I did, and yeah, it's like ridiculous.
Little over the top there,
That
Bruce.
book was ridiculous.
But I
whole
gave
run
that
was
to a friend. I don't want to go on another tangent, but I just want to say I gave that book to a friend 2 years ago, and I basically said it like this. I was just like, okay, this book is terrible, right? You just want to go in knowing that. However, if you have that understanding before you read it, it will be one of the most entertaining things you will read. If you know that it is just terrible and ridiculously over the top and just insane, it is one of the funniest reads you will ever have.
Yeah. You know it's over
Besides
the top.
paybacks.
When Batman and Black Canary having sex on the rooftop is not the most outrageous thing in the entire series.
I forgot about that.
Wait, say that one more time.
I said you know the book is over the top when Black Canary and Batman having sex on the rooftop is not the most outrageous thing in the series.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oy.
No, that's really one of the things you just gotta like. You steer into the skid. You're just like, this book is ridiculous, but let's just see how depraved it can get.
Yeah, that's definitely one way of putting it.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Now, back to our program.
All right, and we're back. Hope that wasn't too horrible. Thanks for sticking with us. Speaking of craziness and depravity that we mentioned in our last review, It's a perfect way to segue into our next book for this week, and that is The Joker, number 9, which Rob will give us our main story, and Josh will give us our backup story featuring Punchline. So take it away, guys.
All right, this one is from writer James Tynion IV with art by Stefano Raffaele, colors from Romulo Fajardo Jr., and letters from Tom Napolitano, and a beautiful cover from Guillaume March and Eric Prianto.
Oh, yes. Really cool.
Well, Vengeance and Jim Gordon arrive at Majorca to find the Joker. I think it's Majorca. Majorca?
Majorca? Is it Majorca, maybe?
It might be Majorca. I don't know.
That's how they say it in like Harry Potter or something.
Majorca. We'll go with Majorca. They arrive at Majorca to find the Joker. And on the way, Gordon tells Vengeance all the stories he has about the Joker terrorizing his life and his family. And this fuels her hate more. The pair arrive at a large house full of dead bodies, and as they make their way through, they find the Joker and a Dr. Friedrich Baum, a member of the network. Vengeance instantly charges at Joker, but Dr. Baum speaks a few code words which knocks Vengeance out cold. After an introduction between the trio, Dr. Baum leads Gordon to his lab, where we find he is part of a ring that grows human bodies using DNA from various villains to fake their death and escape prison, as long as they can pay. Someone has paid him to test it on the Joker, but every attempt has proved unsuccessful, yet they're all still alive. And this is not the Joker's idea. He has nothing to do with this. Before Gordon can find out who in the right mind would want experiments done on the Joker like this, there's a loud crash in the house, and it seems Vengeance has awoken. As the door to the lab breaks down, Dr. Baum goes to greet her, but takes a knife to the neck instead, as instead of Vengeance, it's actually the Samson sister looking for revenge on the network for letting her Uncle Billy die. After finishing Dr. Baum off, with a few quick stabs to the everywhere, her relative Buddy drugs Joker and takes him away, and she then sends a knife into Gordon, who then passes out. He is woken by Vengeance, demanding to know where Joker was taken, and he mumbles out their destination as she storms off. Gordon grabs his phone and calls Barbara to get help, but she cuts him off with news of her own. It seems the Talon that attacked her and the Batgirls was actually James Jr.
Well, not really. Because he's dead.
He's dead.
Well, reanimated version.
Yeah.
You know.
And
I'm going to say network clone.
Yeah.
And at the end of that, Jim has passed out once again. He's a goddamn cop. Goddamn good cop.
Guess so.
He's a goddamn good cop.
I need to throw that in somewhere. But yeah. This is an exciting chapter again. It's been a bit of a lull, moving the story along, but I think this was very exciting. We got some big info, we got some action, we got some potential deaths, and I thought James was a twist. James Jr. I thought was a big twist I didn't see coming, and I really hope Gordon isn't dead, which I think is possible because this isn't the Jim Gordon book; it's the Joker book. If Brian K. Vaughan has taught us anything, it's that no one is safe.
Yep.
Yeah. You could say that again.
Yeah. If Injustice has taught you anything, it's that no one is
Taylor.
safe. My God.
Yeah.
I will go to the grave talking about that bullshit return of Tim Drake, only to literally kill him in that same issue.
You will never hear from me talking shit about any of that, any of the 3 runs for that. I thought it was all amazing.
I was so mad. I was like, they've been sitting on this Teen Titans mystery for like 2-3 years, and then they just bring him back and kill him. I was like, I'm going to contain myself before I do something stupid.
Hey, let me ask you guys this: is this new info that Venom was based off the Miracle formula?
Right. Yeah, I was going through it a second time when I missed that. Yes, that's. I think that's new info. It's new to me anyway.
Yeah.
For those listeners out there that don't know, Miracle is the thing that's responsible for Deathstroke
and Our Man.
Oh yeah, well, and Our Man, but nobody thinks about our Man.
They should.
They should.
So, man, there were so many stories that were intertwined with this one.
Yeah.
Cataclysm, Killing Joke, Death in the Family. I mean, that was crazy. But here's my question. I loved this issue. This part of the issue. It was really good. But do you two think that this could possibly be the end of Jim Gordon?
I hope not. I really hope not.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think so.
I think that Jim Gordon dying overseas would be it would be a helpful motivator to get Batman to go overseas, and I feel like it would do a lot to progress the story. There'd be a lot of different ways to go. It would affect the whole Bat family in a way that that Alfred's death did. But it would I think hit everybody harder because he was close to the entire Bat family rather than just Batman. I think that Jim Gordon dying could be an excellent jumping off point for a whole lot more stories.
And I 100% agree with you, but I also just had a thought.
Oh.
Because while you were saying all that, and while I was definitely agreeing with you, I was thinking, it stands to reason. It makes sense. There's nobody left on that island, as far as we know. There's nobody else in that mansion. Everybody's left him for dead, and he's alone. And there's no way anybody can get from Gotham or anywhere else to that island in time to save him. It just doesn't make sense. So there's literally nobody left alive on that island. Wait, there are people alive. Joker clones. And this book is the Joker book. And if the Joker wants Jim Gordon alive, he's going to get Jim Gordon alive. Those Joker clones were very much alive. They were disfigured, disformed, and disgusting, but they were very much alive.
That presents an interesting idea, man. Mm-hmm. Brandon, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that's definitely a possibility. I don't know. I didn't really have any theories. I was just like, I guess we'll just have to see. But you know, it's a pretty obvious like feint. Like obviously, he's probably not gonna die. That would certainly be an interesting way to start the next issue with just Jim is dead. But
then it finally becomes a Joker book instead of a Jim Gordon book.
Yeah. I don't think they will do that, but yeah, I don't know. I really didn't have any theories as to how he's going to get fixed up. I guess we'll just kind of have to see.
The only other thing that I can think of, because Vengeance isn't coming back, is if Joker somehow ditched his captors and hid out for a minute until Vengeance left, and then he himself comes back and saves Gordon. But that seems quite the stretch.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah, I gave this one an 8.75, this part of the book.
That was exact same for me, 8.75.
This one got an 8 for me.
All right. We're going to head over to the backup now, if you guys are cool with that.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
All right. Punchline was written by Sam Johns and James Tynan IV, with art from Rosie Campe, I think that's how you say her name, and Marisa Louise, with lettering from Ariana Marr. This is a pretty quick one. Harper Row is at Leslie Tompkins' house with Kelly, and they're trying to figure out what to do next. There's high school backstory about all the kids that she didn't like being circled in the yearbook that they had, and then later those people were killed. Everyone that was circled, except for Kelly, that is. She's the only one left. Meanwhile, Punchline has Orca strapped to a table and is drugging her and talking a whole lot of shit. That's it. It gave us everything that we needed in the story. The backstory that Punchline of why Punchline wants to kill Kelly, and the current state of Orca. I find it odd that so few inmates escaped. This was good, but not overly great, and other than spilling info, it didn't really do a whole lot. I liked it. I did. It was good. It was integral to the story. but I also feel like it was lacking something. I'm just not sure what it was. I'm not sure if any of you guys could figure it out for me, but the backup ended up with a 7.5. And I gave the whole issue, I rounded it up to an 8.5 because I felt Punchline fell a little flat. But the Joker has me super curious. And can't wait to see where it keeps going, man.
Yeah, my notes on this are very similar to what you've said, just a little different in structure. That I feel the story definitely seems like it's getting somewhere again, but it feels like there's so much story left to go through with the narrative they're setting and all the hints they're dropping. That it feels like we're halfway through, but we've come so far already, and it's I don't want to say it's dragging. But when you said it feels like this one feels like it was missing something, yeah, that's kind of along the same lines of what I'm feeling. Maybe just there's substance missing. I gave it an 8 out of 10. I'm still enjoying it. I'm still curious to see where it's going, which brings me overall to an 8.5 for the whole book. I rounded that up as well because, like Josh, I love the Joker main so much.
Yeah, no, I gave the backup a 7.5. It was just it was just kind of there for me. I didn't really have a lot of thoughts on it. So the whole story for me was just I think around an 8, around a 7.5. It was just I don't know, just kind of all right for me. Not didn't really blow me away. Hello?
All right.
Oh,
I think
did we lose Josh?
Josh is gone.
Oh.
Wait, who's doing Robins? Oh, he's back.
Who,
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
He wasn't frozen.
who is doing Robins? I like totally forgot to ask about that.
I imagine Josh.
Yeah.
We thought we lost you. I hadn't seen you leave, and
Yeah.
we thought like you froze.
Oh, nope, sorry. I've got a 5-year-old that really wants to be a co-host.
Oh.
Oh man.
'cause I
Are
didn't-
we still talking about Joker?
No, I think we were done. I don't know, but yeah, no, because I didn't even get to read Robins. I didn't even see it was out.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Well, uh-oh.
Wait, Josh, were you doing Robins? Who's doing Robins?
Brandon.
Oh, shit.
Well, there you go. Yeah.
Well, before we move on to that one, let me just add one more thing. Since I asked you guys if you thought Jim Gordon might die this one, can I say that I would be much less invested in Jim Gordon dying than I was at Alfred? Alfred dying induced a lot of rage.
Yeah.
That's it. Well, let's see. Brandon, are you in a place? Oh, you didn't even pick up Robins,
Yeah,
did you?
I didn't even see it was out.
All right. Well, let's see if I can manage to run through this fairly quickly. It was written by Tim Seeley with art from Ravas and Friardo Jr. And I don't know the letterer right off the top of my head, but give me just a second here. We're going to pull this up. I promise we will knock this out for y'all. All right. So, Robins. All right. Issue 2 of 6. The issue starts out with the other Robin sitting up on this perch. She just had Delcane killed when they were coming in. And the Robins are all together. They're confronting Bruce and saying they've got time to investigate and punish this insult to the Robin mantle. Batman is not happy about it. He won't let them do shit, won't let Tim get into the Bat computer because his network has been breached and he does not know how badly. Of course, you know damn well that the Robins aren't going to listen. That's kind of all of their thing. Batman asks why were they all together in the first place, but he zooms out of there before he gets an answer. They come up against they come up against all of their original foes that they had during what is referred to as their gauntlets, basically Batman's trials. And then we get a bunch of glimpses of that. Batman's notes on Dick, Batman's notes on Jason, his notes on Spoiler, Tim Drake, and Damian. Spoiler's the only one that did not pass his gauntlet. And then after the Robins beat the hell out of all those people that they fought during their Batman gauntlets, which are really, really ridiculous characters, we see a little bit of a deal where we see at the very end of Damian's Access Unlocked, see Gauntlet 0, but we don't actually get to see that, where we did get to see the files on all of the other Robins. It ends with these, I can't remember what the hell their name is, but they're really ridiculous. Giggles and Guffaw, that's what their name is. And they are Joker addicts, and somehow when Red Hood walks in to confront them, they both turn into him in some kind of a digital form. And the next issue is called The Punchline, which I feel is oh so very original in the current Batman runs. Guys, I think this story is much better than I originally thought it was going to be when it was in the Round Robin tournament. Though there were a few others I really think I would have liked to see more. This story is pretty cool. I'm not sold on the original Robin, though. There has to be some kind of weird thing going on here. The weird Robin chick seems to have access to the Bat computer, though, and they go through the histories of all the Robins. That one file we don't see, of course, that's baited as mystery. I don't know, man. I'm conflicted as hell. While I love the colors, I was not a fan of the art in quite a few places, mostly relating to the faces of our Robins. I was very glad to see that fake Robin, Fobbin. I'm going to call that character Fobbin. I'm very glad to see Fobbin doesn't look like the Robin King anymore because yuck. I really enjoy the idea, but I'm off-put at the same time. I'm going to continue to give it the benefit of the doubt, but I hope this does not get seriously stupid because I see a lot of potential for that here. Robin's number 2 is only able to get a 7 out of 10 for me. What did you guys think? Well, Brandon, I'm sure you have quite the opinion.
I did not get a chance to read this one, so I don't really have any thoughts.
Yeah. I will be very curious to hear your thoughts when you do get a chance to take a look at it. I thought it was a very fun look into the history of all these characters.
I'll give you that.
We've all grown up with and loved, and some we've hated, but then loved again when he came back to life. Which one am I talking about? That's
the one that I did not vote to kill, but my brother did.
When I finished it, I was thinking, remember when we all hated the idea that this book won the round robin? And
yeah, I haven't forgotten it. I'm so pissed off I didn't get my Beetle book.
Yeah, I'm pissed off I didn't get my Kyle Rayner book.
Agreed.
Brandon.
Anyway.
Some other book, I'm sure. But yeah, it was a stacked tournament to begin with, let's face it. There were so many good ideas in that tournament. And one book had to win. No matter which one won, somebody was going to be annoyed. And of all the books to win, you had to pick the bad book. But,
Yeah.
Naturally.
At the end of the day, I'm enjoying it. I think it's fun. I love Robin as an idea, as a concept, especially when there's more than one in a room, and to have all the Robins to ever exist in main continuity all together in one book, just being Robins, I think is a blast.
Working together and not hating each other.
Exactly. We're looking at you, Jason.
And Damien.
I mean, Damien still hates Tim as a rivalry, but that's just brotherly love. Josh?
What's up? Oh. He's gone.
And he's gone. He disappeared off his screen.
Yeah.
Like, suddenly, and that freaked me the fuck out.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Oh, he's back.
You're back?
I'm back.
Okay.
All right.
As your corner gas screen was there, but you just disappeared in a flash, and that was really creepy.
I have some weird thing going on with my damn webcam, and when it does glitch out for some reason, it kills my headphones, so I have to leave and come back. I don't get it. I'm going to have to rehook up everything. But anyway, sorry about that, guys.
No worries. Were we okay to continue, though?
I do believe so.
Okay.
Unless Brandon has anything to add.
No, like I said, I didn't read it, so I have nothing to add. But we can move on to our final issue for this week, and hopefully put this long episode to an end because I'm starting to get hungry. Titans United #3. Rob, tell us all about it.
All right, so this was from writer Kevin Scott with pencils by Jose Luis, inks by Jonas Trinidade, and colors from Rex Locus with letters by Carlos M. Mangual. Up in space, Blackfire has Superboy strapped to a table. She's testing his abilities and finds he's not as strong as he's supposed to be, or that she thinks he is. Basically, she's putting him through torture. On Earth, Raven, Red Hood, and Don Troy are tracking Lady Vic to a private airfield, and after confirming her appearance, they go in to take her down, but she was prepared. Her two guards get turned into green wolves, very similar to Beast Boy. Or Changeling now. He changes names more often than Tim Drake.
I know.
They attack, but Raven holds them back with her magic, and Red Hood goes straight for Lady Vic, but she gets onto her plane before he can get close enough.
I don't know what you're talking about. Tim Drake's never changed his name.
Right.
No, just Robin and Red Robin. That was it.
It's just Robin.
Just
Shut
Robin.
up.
As it's taking off, Jason decides she's not getting away that easily and grapples the tail of the plane in true Jason Todd fashion, doing the craziest bat-fuck crazy thing impossible.
Dumb.
And he gets taken off with it, because that's what planes do. At Titan's Tower, Nightwing is running comms with Gar when Raven gets the go-ahead to show the two just what they are dealing with. And she teleports the wolves to the tower so Gar and Dick can deal with them, as she and Donna go after Jason. They catch
By the
up
way,
with the
not
plane.
cool, dude. I mean, she doesn't give him any
No
kind
warning.
of an upswing. I mean, if I was Dick, I would have been sitting there going, okay, cool. She's going to like open up this little portal window so we can see. And nope, she's like, here, take half the bad guys.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Gar's milkshake, man. He was looking forward to that all day.
Poor milkshake.
So they catch up to the plane and slow it down just enough to get inside. And Lady Vic is attacking Red Hood while Raven stops the pilots from shooting them. Jason gets the upper hand on Lady Vic, but she's a ninja, so she disappears in a puff of smoke. Nightwing figured something out about the people using Titan's powers, and just before the guards changed, he heard a sound over the comm system. He used that same frequency, and it turned the guards back to normal. And after analyzing the sound he heard, he found out it was not coming from Earth, but rather someone familiar up in space. Now this book... Okay, I'm going to flip my notes for a second. It's enjoyable, but it's getting a little ridiculous at times.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of losing my interest in it too.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
I think it's interesting.
Yeah.
It's still not paralleling the Titans show, but you can tell that there's still that heavy influence. Blackfire showed up, but there is weird bad guys. Red Hood is a good guy, and Connor is being tortured rather than being a puppy in love.
And where was Starfire the entire issue?
Not around.
Yeah.
Maybe he's not being tortured. Maybe he's being prepped for dissection. I really don't know. I hope we'll be finding out next issue. The art, the pencils, inks, colors, they really knock it out of the park for me. I gave it an 8.5 an 8 out of 10 because I did enjoy the issue. It has me a little worried, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I gave it a 7. It was just kind of like, I don't know, much like Joker, it was kind of just there for me. I was like, all right, cool. Like, the first 2 were kind of fun, but now I don't know that I care as much.
Fair enough.
I gave it a 7.5 because as fun as it is, especially with Jason's antics, the craziness is too much. Sure, she's a ninja, and yeah, she's going to use a smoke bomb to get away, but for fuck's sake, she's on a plane. Just go to the back cabin. She's in there. Donna's outside. She would have seen Vic flying out. No, she's in the fucking plane still.
Oh, Lady Vic can teleport. It says that in the issue that she teleported away.
Oh, actually, for fuck's sake. Because it was a puff of smoke. I thought, okay. 7.75 out of 10.
Magic. All right.
It's up a quarter now because I cannot read a word apparently.
Yeah.
You're like, she's hiding with the pilots, dumbass.
That's all I could think about when I finished. When I closed the book, I was like, she's there still. Just look. Yeah.
Yeah, I had to go back and read Robin's again because I was a little confused about what had happened there. But hey, we'll get into that later.
Yeah.
All right, I guess that's it for the books, guys, huh?
Yeah, let's move on to our top 3 books for this week, and then eventually our biggest stinker, and we'll close out for the night because it has been 2 hours, and I'm sure we're all feeling it at this point. But yeah, let's get into our top 3 books for this week and a standout moment if you have one.
I do.
Josh, do you want to get us started?
Number 3, 2, and 1 were all pretty easy for me. Action Comics, it scored the same as another one, but this book is significant. The other, not really anything but fun. So number 3 went to Action Comics. Number 2 went to Joker. I am really enjoying the Joker story, and the idea of Jim Gordon dying has me very intrigued. And I think it's not a secret. My number 1 book goes to Robin and Batman because, to sum it up as briefly as I can, this shit's awesome. My favorite moment was way harder than it should have been, though. There weren't exactly a huge amount of standout panels, but I've got it down to 2 that I was favoring. Robin seeing his new costume. That was cool. And Jim Gordon lying on the floor. I really feel like it could do wonders for Batman universe having him die, aside from, killing Alfred. But I think that this would rock the Bat family hard and set up some really good stories. So seeing Jim Gordon bleeding to death on that floor all alone was actually my favorite moment. Got a little dark there, but hey.
Yeah. Rob, you want to go next?
Sure thing. And I'm actually going to do mine in reverse order. So number 1 is, I think no surprises, Action Comics. Just fantastic book. And I start with that because that might be the most obvious. Number 2, The Robin and Batman. It's just such a charming book. Beautiful art. And number 3, I'm actually going to give to Wonder Woman. When I was going through the list, I think this was actually, for me, really enjoyable. At least compared to the opening story arc we got. And I think, hopefully, it's going to go in a much better direction. And my best moments from Last Ride is just Hal coming back to full power, because that was just such a telling moment for his character and probably the most badass part of the entire issue. And I know, I think, Brandon, you mentioned had the oddity of him just killing Darkseid, but I think it also just kind of fits his character in a desperate play. For years he was being taken over by Darkseid, and now he gets his power back and all he wants is revenge, and I thought that was just fantastic to the character.
Oh, maybe it's the last ride of Darkseid. We'll find out.
Maybe. I don't know.
I tweeted at him. We'll find out.
They say Darkseid
we'll have to
is
see, I guess.
The last ride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you, Brandon? What'd you have?
My top three for this week, I had actually a different one that we didn't mention in the show. Number three, I had Urban Legends, Batman Urban Legends. Number nine, which I thought was just like a really kind of cool issue. And then at number two, Action Comics 1036, just absolutely amazing stuff. And at number one, Robin and Batman, number one, just blew me away. Lemire and Dustin just absolutely kill it. But my favorite moment has to be the double page spread in Action Comics of Superman and the Authority just like making their way towards the Coliseum and just breaking shit. It was just so cool and like just felt so fitting for where the story's going next.
Yeah, I'll give you that, and I kind of assumed that somebody was going to pick that, so that's why I went to some minimal things here. But
yeah.
All right, that's the good stuff.
Yeah, let's get into the other side of it. Some of the bad, more smelly kind of stuff with
The biggest stinker.
Oh, that's nasty.
Josh, start us off. What was your biggest stinker this week?
Honestly, it was Robins. And that's a little sad because it's a book about the Robins, but we've got Fobbin in there. There's nothing that really makes sense about that. It completely doesn't make any sense to me. And like I said, the colors I thought the colors were amazing. I really did. The colors were outstanding, but the faces, and every single time you see a face, it's just bad, man. The rest of the comic is drawn like a comic book, and their faces appear very shocked anime person, and I'm not a fan of that whatsoever. Not piled on top of what I feel like is almost a completely different style. But so yeah, Robins is definitely on my stink list this week. How about you, Rob?
I was just checking out your idea about the faces. Because my biggest nitpick was Dick's hair just being super long.
Yeah, that was another thing.
I love it when Dick has long hair.
It's
I don't
cool,
mind it
but
either, but it's like down past his shoulders, and it's drawn very almost anime-like, like a picture of vampires' hair.
I love it. There was the episode of Teen Titans where
that's exactly what I was thinking of every time I saw him
where
with
they
the
go
long
to
hair.
the future, and Dick has the Nightwing costume and has that long hair, and I thought that was awesome when I saw it at first.
Yeah,
and I still kind of love it. I
I
don't know if I love Mullet Wing, where he kind of had like the mullet in the 90s and the ponytail. That's bad.
That's real bad.
I don't mind the long hair. I kind of love it when he looks a little shaggy.
No, but that's the thing. He doesn't look shaggy. He looks like a spokesman for L'Oreal shampoo or some shit. I'm waiting for him to do one of those hair whips thing.
I wouldn't mind that.
Right. So my biggest stinker this week is Black Manta. It's just you heard me. I screamed. I don't do that often. I'm usually a very quiet person, but this one made me think so much I cracked. So that's on my stink list this week. I really hope it picks up because I'm really looking forward to an Aquaman event.
Yeah, and now I hear you there, man. Black Manta was funky as hell. But the reason why that didn't make my stink list is because I expected so much more out of a Robin's book. A Black Manta book, it's going to either be decent or it's going to be bad. You don't expect it to be really good. A Robin's book should be really good, and it seriously let me down.
Yeah. No, my biggest stinker was also Black Manta. So I pretty much just echo everything that Rob said. It was bizarre and strange, and the art was weird at points. And like I said, I like Valentino Landro. I think he's a great artist sometimes, but this is just not the right setting for him.
Well, I couldn't agree more. And before we head on out of here, let's hit that dump list real quick. I have a quick discussion about that. Black Manta is getting weird, but it's still connected. Should we wait till the next issue before we decide to say no?
I think we can read the issue before we record next time, and this can be a more logistic question, but
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think when we read the issue beforehand, we will be able to then determine whether or not we want to drop the series. So once 4 comes around, we'll all kind of read it and we'll be like, okay, are we talking about this, or are we just like not even going to mention it? Because again, I mean, yes, it's building towards an Aquaman event, but is it better to just wait for the event and then cover it, or do we have to sit here and read something we don't care about just so we can find out about what's coming?
Yeah, you've got a damn good point there, man.
Better for us to just read what's coming when it comes, so we don't
Right.
have to suffer through something we don't like.
All right, so all of us are going to bullshit Tuesday afternoon. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I got 2 more things on the dump list. One is one that Brandon actually chose for his favorites. I guess I know where you're at on Urban Legends. I haven't had a chance to read this week's issue yet, so I don't know if we've got more actual tie-ins or not. I know that it's labeled Fear State, but I'm curious, should that one stay on the dump list?
Yeah, I think that's the best way to do it, because there's some that are good and some that are just totally throwaway, so we can kind of decide.
All right. And then last but not least, and I know I'm the one that pushed for this, but Titans United is just a fun book, but that's all it is. Regardless of how much fun it is, I am nominating it for a place on the dump list. DC lied when they said that they would not, DC lied when they said they would cut down on the number of titles that was being released, but we know that that is certainly not the case, and we do have to have room in our show for the books that fucking matter. And right now, Titans United does not, at least not to me. I'll still keep reading it, but it is far from an important book. What do you guys think?
I can agree with that.
I can definitely agree with that.
All right, Titans United.
I want to flush it again.
You got flushed. I think that's it.
All right. Well, with that out of the way, that's our show, everybody. We'll be here talking comics next week, and we hope you'll stop by. Remember to go to notarobotpodcast.com for all of our episodes and our other shows with all sorts of people. But with that, there's only one way that we say goodbye around here. Until next time.
Be good to each other.
And don't be a robot. Like us. Obviously, we made loads of mistakes this one. Have fun, guys.
All right.
Shoot,